Hey guys, welcome to this Tuesday vlog for today, the 15th, the 15th of February 2022. It is about 1:25 p.m. Pacific time. I tried to do this vlog earlier this morning, but I went a little overboard. And then when I tried to piece it together, on Cyber Power Director, I accidentally pieced one part over the other. Well, actually not one part, but a video I just did over the other, and kind of screwed up there. But yeah, it's been one of those kind of days, if you will. In fact, and also I was tired this morning too. I just woke up, so that didn't help. But the reason I'm doing this too is because I have most of the place to myself, unless things change. I have most of the place to myself to at least a little after 8:30 tonight, because my mom has Bible study, and as you can tell, it's a little windy out here, so I don't think that'll cause anything. I think the wind will die down before she goes to Bible study tonight. But yeah, it's been one of those interesting weeks, if you know what I mean. Weekends, past 24 to 48 hours, if you will. I will say this, like I mentioned in the channel update yesterday. I don't know what's going to be up the road in the next week or so, the next couple of days, within the next week, maybe the following week, due to the fact that I don't think it'll affect my video contribution here on my channel, but if it does, I'll let you know, because basically there's a very personal family event coming up, and it's one of those personal family events that no family wants to be part of, if you catch my drift, and that's really all I want to say on that. But here's the thing though, I may or may not be going to the family event due to the fact that I'm working, and I just started here, and I don't want to risk losing my job, and it's understandable if you can't attend due to certain reasonings. But the reason I bring that up though is, if I do go, it's going to be one of those events to where my main focus is going to be on that, and not, doing any channel updates for at least the rest of the day, if not to the next day, depending on the situation. Again, I don't know much information right now. These are just my mom, but when that happens, I'll pretty much do like a minor update that you guys know what's going on here and there. But yeah, it's one of those personal family events that no family wants to attend, if you know what I mean. But besides that, I just wanted to come on here and talk about, what's been going on. As you know, the Super Bowl was this past Sunday. Unfortunately, the team we wanted to win didn't win. The Rams did. And, what are you going to do? It was a good game. It's just, something just told me that the way they were telling the stories and all that about certain players, it's like, yeah, that team's going to win, because it's pretty much being set up for them to do so. And I'll probably talk about more of that in a later video. But yeah, it's one of those situations to where it's talked about one way, and for one player and team, and it's like pretty much it's gonna it's gonna go the direction. But besides that, yesterday of course was Valentine's Day. Hope you all had a good one. But yeah, yesterday I was working. I was doing the front end attendant, if you will. Basically, I was responsible for bringing in carts. I was responsible for cleaning the bathrooms when I could, checking the spill stations before starting, and everything, doing this and that, checking the garbage, recycles, and all that, which isn't a big deal. And to say yesterday was not probably one of the better days for me since I started would be saying something. Now, they weren't angry or anything. They weren't on me like, let's say, my previous job would be. They're very understanding. I mean, I even apologized to some of the front-end managers for them having to go out and get the carts and everything. And, one of them's like, oh, don't worry about it. We just don't want people to be without carts and everything. And it got to a point even that something happened that I was afraid was going to happen, because the machine's kind of new by a couple of months, that being the cart machine, the cart manager machine. Somebody backed up into it. What happened, long story short, is somebody was picking up an order from the drive pickup in one of the lanes, or one of the parking spaces reserved for it. And I was getting carts. Like, I was right here. The machine was like, okay, it's like, here's the chair, here's the plant. So here was I, here was where the cart was, right? But it was on the other side. So here I was, and this being on the other side, if you will, basically the truck that backed up didn't see the cart machine. And they didn't know about it until they hit it. Now, thankfully, nothing was damaged on either end. They even asked if everything was okay. Thank God for that. But nothing was really damaged. I mean, if there was anything that was kind of maybe changed a little bit, it was a little light up area where, you see, whether or not the battery needs charging or whatever. That little flat area might have been pushed in just a bit, but not much. But I had a feeling that was going to happen. And, yeah, it was partially my fault. But the thing is, the guy, he didn't look. He didn't, look out, his side, look at his window to see if anything was there before he backed up. So, yeah, that was a first time thing that happened over there, as far as I know. It probably happened before with another cart machine, but they won't tell. They probably won't tell me or anything, because I'm sure it has happened. And I even told one of my friends and managers that does the scheduling, and the first thing she asked was, if I was okay. She didn't wonder, well, how bad is the damage to the thing, to the machine? No, first thing was, are you okay? Are you all right? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. And I just told them what it was, because they've told us that if anything does happen, we need to let them know, so that way they can figure out, okay, what can we do to prevent that from happening. Now, tomorrow, I am going to be doing the same thing, maybe, depends, because they might say, you know what, let's put them on cashier or do something else, because I don't think they want another incident, if you will. But then again, it's just one of those situations to where I don't think anybody expected it to be that bad yesterday. I really don't. Here's what I mean. Here's what I mean by that. Of course, a lot of people were probably a little partied out a little bit from the Super Bowl on Sunday, but we had to be at work. And I can kind of tell that a lot of us, not just attendants, associates, advocates, if you will, or even managers, I can kind of tell from my own point of view that a lot of us were a little off a little bit. We were kind of sluggish. And again, I think it's because of the fact that a lot of us were probably at Super Bowl parties, and we were kind of partied out, into the late evening, so we had to, so a lot of us, including myself, had to probably get home and get to bed late, but then have to get up early for work. So it's just, I guess it's one of those situations where I think a lot of us were just still kind of sluggish and everything, and just not all there, because we didn't get much sleep, and if we did, we were still worn out from the previous day. So it was one of those kind of situations. But yeah, I also think it's the fact that they didn't expect it to be that bad. It's like when I got there, everything was fine. Even when I clocked in, everything was fine. But then from 11:30 or mostly noon going forward, it just started to pick up. It's like all of a sudden, here came this rush. Here came this rush, and it was like, where did this come from? Kind of deal. What happened? And I was doing my job. I was basically, cleaning out the garbage. I was checking the bathrooms, because you got to check the bathroom every 30 minutes of the hour. Like right now, it's about 1:32. So whoever's there right now is checking the bathroom, if you catch my drift. So it's like every half hour or so, or whenever they can. And again, that's another thing too. It's like the managers will check that out if you can't do it. And again, they don't have a problem with that. So I was kind of surprised and appreciative and grateful for that. But yeah, it's just one of those situations where it just caught us off guard. And I was just doing my job. I was trying to get as many carts in there as I could. But every time I went to go put carts in and then go back and get some more, the carts I would put in would be gone, if you know what I mean. And basically, it's like I couldn't even took my break. I come back and I noticed, like I said earlier, the manager is bringing in carts. I'm like, you didn't have to do that. And they're like, oh, no, don't worry. We don't want people to be without carts. It's just, again, it's just one of those situations where I think it just, really, threw people off again of how, busy it got. It's like out of nowhere. It's like, boom, here's the sudden rush, and it just never stopped, if you know what I mean. And it's gonna, and to me, it's just gonna be a lesson to be learned, is because I noticed, in my opinion, two of the front end managers are kind of young, and they might be new to the position, and they're still learning, in a sense. Even though they've probably done these positions or been in these positions for about a year or so, I think they're kind of still learning. So by still learning these positions, especially when it comes to scheduling, it's they still got a lot to figure out. Like, okay, that didn't work. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? Kind of deal. So it was just one of those situations. Like, again, like I said, it was warm too. Compared to today, it was warm. It was like almost in the 80s yesterday, and it's like all of a sudden, boom, this sudden rush came out of nowhere. And of course, I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't that into, I wasn't really, that into it. I mean, I was working, I was doing my job, but like I said, like some of the other people there, the managers and the fellow associates, and all that, it was just one of those situations to where the previous day, with the Super Bowl parties that I'm sure a lot of us were a part of, just really wore us down, and we didn't get back home until like later in the evening, a lot later than we wanted to. So, it was one of those incidents, if you will. But again, it's a learning experience for not just myself, but for a lot of people. And again, I think probably one of the things they're going to learn from this is like, okay, when it hits noon, we can't have the machine out there, but we need people out getting carts. So maybe we just have the person go out and get a few carts here and there, like 7 carts every time. Like, bring some in, boom, go get the other, bring them in, boom. That'll work. And obviously you could tell it was one of those days because one of the people helping me was calling for me. It was calling for me to answer, and I was on my last break. So with me being on my last break, sorry about that. My dog had to go to the bathroom real bad. I don't know what it is she ate. She likes to eat stuff off the floor, like little loose meats or something like that, or even the dirt. So I don't know if that was it or what, but she had to go. But like I said, it was one of those days to where one of the people tried to call me while I was on my break, and they had to say, hey, and somebody had to respond, oh, he's on his break right now, and I even had to get on the walkie, I should say, and say, yeah, I'm on my break right now. I'll be there in a moment. So yeah, it's just one of those days to where it's like, it's just one of those days, like I said, you prepare for work, and usually they're all good and everything. It's usually all right. But again, I think it was just a sudden rush because there were some people that obviously had to get some last minute Valentine's stuff because of the fact that yesterday was the Super Bowl, and pretty much I think their focus was on that, and they forgot, oh, wait a minute, the next day is Valentine's Day. I need to get a few last minute items, and that's what they did. So I think that's what happened. I just think it threw a lot of us off balance, if you know what I mean. It really threw us all, off balance and everything that, we just had to, basically, we just basically had to make the best of it, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's one of those days, man. It's just one of those days. It's like, holy guacamole. Hopefully we never have to go through something like that again. But speaking of yesterday, I complain about sometimes recently about the bus and everything, and how they don't seem to want to do the courtesy stops, especially certain drivers. And I understand from what one of the long-time drivers that I rode with recently told me, that say, hey, it's up to them, it's their discretion and all that. It seems that for every negative and all that we could give them, they come up with a positive. And yesterday, one of the positives that they did in the morning, mostly, was I got to ride on one of the longer buses, one of the regular sized buses with not just regular seats and everything, but also the couch seats, if you will, in the front or in the middle. So I got to ride on 2 of those, one to Patterson and then one to Turlock. And so what I got to do is put my feet, one of my legs up and basically I was able to put one of my feet up and one of my legs on the ground and just lay back a little bit and relax while I was riding to work. So you know, that was a positive thing, is, you know, to get to ride those buses. And you'll probably see that video as well before this. But yeah, I got to ride on that. But then unfortunately, that didn't last forever, because later on that day I got picked up by, hold on. Sorry about that. That was my mom calling. I had a feeling she would. But anyway, like I said, it was just one of those days at work to where it was just, you know, even like I said, one of the guys that called me on the walkie called me when I was on break, and somebody had to tell him I was on break. And I had to say, yeah, I'm on break. I'll be there in a moment. It was just an interesting situation to where, like I said, I couldn't even go on break or even lunch, and all of a sudden the carts just were disappearing. Even the guys that they got to take over for me, like when I was on lunch or when they would have me do something else because they needed. Because one of the things you have to do in that position is not only carts, but you have to, like I said, you have to check the bathrooms, you have to clean the garbage on the outside, like clean out the cans on the outside, as well as clean the garbage in the lounge, basically in the break rooms. And they asked me to do that. I mean, at first the front end manager who does the scheduling was asking me to do that, and I said, okay, no problem, I'll be there. And then she just came out and she said, oh, I didn't know you were doing carts. I said, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. But then they noticed, oh, wait a minute, we got this person. We can have them do the carts. You can do the stuff and all that. Because, again, like I said, it was one of those situations to where even the guy that they got to do the carts in my place while I was doing other things or on lunch, you know, even he couldn't keep up. It was like, what is going on here? You know, and again, I think it's the fact that nobody expected us to get that kind of a rush because of the fact that it was Valentine's Day. They figured, okay, you know, everybody's probably doing Valentine's Day on the weekend along with the Super Bowl and birthdays and all that. But I don't think they expected that kind of rush, because I think what it was, as I mentioned earlier, some people forgot about the fact that, oh, the Super Bowl was yesterday and the main focus was on that. And then all of a sudden those that, you know, realized the next day, oh, shoot, this is Valentine's Day now. Like the next day is Valentine's Day. I got to get some last minute stuff. I think that's what happened. It's like a lot of people were so focused on the big game that when they came back, that the next day they realized, oh crap, I forgot to get some Valentine's Day stuff for my loved ones. And there you go. So just one of those situations, that, you know, you can't really prepare for, you know, as far as, you know, it doesn't matter if it's Target, doesn't matter if it's Walmart, Kohl's, whatever. It's just one of those situations. But yeah, very, very, very crazy, if you know what I mean. Now, here's what's interesting. Now, moving on from that, as I mentioned at the beginning here, and I mentioned in the channel update I did yesterday after work while I was waiting for my bus, like I said, there's a personal family event that none of us like to go to, if you know what I mean. It's one of those events to where, yeah, it's just, you know, you're never prepared for a moment like that. Well, I got information. My mom called me, like I said, and she gave me more information. And she found out that basically it's going to go a certain way. Like, it's going to go a certain way to where, you know, part of it, what's called the viewing part, is going to take place a couple of weeks from now, on a Monday. The viewing part of it, and everybody's allowed to be part of that. But then the second part of it, which I think takes place the next day, if you know that one part nobody likes to be part of, or nobody looks forward to, that part is only going to be a certain, you know, group of people, basically. You know, basically very closer relatives than me and my mom were. So it's going to be one of those situations to where, you know, it's like, you know, depending on my schedule, like if I'm off on that Monday, I'm probably going to go with them to be part of the viewing, or else I'm going to stay here. It all depends. If I'm working, I'm staying here. You know, it's one of those situations. And, you know, that's about it. But anyway, long story short, the way it pertains to my channel here is I might do videos on Monday, which is the 7th of March, depending on what happens. If I'm working, then I could just come home and, you know, go from there. But on the 8th, again, depending on my schedule, videoing is going to be a little hard, if you will, because of the fact that my mom has told me that on those days she's not only going to take Monday off to go be part of the viewing, or at least, you know, be part of that, but she's also going to take the next day off because I guess she, you know, wants to do it out of respect, but also the fact that I think she's getting at that point right now to where they got the kids back. They got the kids back, and, you know, it's been one of those years at her job to where, you know, she doesn't know, you know, what's going to happen up the road, because recently they've had a lot of kids be positive with the COVID, and that's caused them to shut down the school. Now, not shut it down completely to where she'd be home, but mostly shut it down to where the kids have to wait at least a week or so before going back. And because of that, it's been kind of off and on. Now, this past Friday, she said it was probably one of the worst Fridays that they've had, because, you know, throughout last week, everything was fine, and now all of a sudden, this past Friday, becomes the worst, and it's just really stressed her out. It's like she couldn't deal with it, if you know what I mean, if you catch my drift. What else is there? You know, it basically got to a point to where when I told her that I might be working on President's Day, she didn't like hearing that, because she's like, hey, you got to find your own way. Find your own way. I'm not taking you. But now, all of a sudden, she's thinking, well, I got to get my oil checked. But you know, and one of the only days she can think of getting a check is on President's Day. So it's like, you know, what are you going to do? You know, get your oil checked. You can take me. It's like, there you go. Take me to work. Come back, get your oil checked. Got plenty of time. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, usually when somebody's tired and everything, you know, they don't want to hear certain things because it's like the last thing they want to hear. They vent, and that's kind of what she did. It's kind of what she did. But yeah, like I said, you know, she wasn't thrilled about hearing me say that, but I've got a feeling she'll be okay with taking me eventually. It's like I think she's gonna realize, look, he's gonna probably have no other option, and I gotta take him. But hopefully between now and Monday, I'll get an answer as to, you know, whether or not I can get somebody to replace me. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting, because when I look at the time off I got, because it is part-time, and I mean, I told them in the survey, hey, I want like 38 hours at least, you know, like a little under 40, but still something. I think what it is that my mom, my mom, I don't think she realizes that I can't have so many days off in a row and then, you know, work, especially in a place like this. So I think what's going to happen is she's going to probably take me eventually, you know, on Monday, you know, and I have to fault myself for kind of letting her know that on Friday, not knowing the kind of day she had. I mean, had I known, I'd be like, whoop, I'm not going to say anything, you know, I'll just wait. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully things change and I might be able to get that day off. But again, it'll be more days off, because I work tomorrow and then I'm off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5 days. And it's like, seriously, are you crazy? You know? But hopefully it doesn't hurt or anything in the long run. It doesn't really hurt me in the long run, and we'll just see what happens. But yeah, like I said, she just called me and let me know about that situation and everything. You got an update and everything from family about that. And like I said, you know, the 7th and the 8th, you know, I don't know if I'll be working on those days. If I am, I'll still be able to do videos, because I have to do something while I wait for my bus, right? So we'll have to go with that and everything, and see what happens. But anyway, though, guys, that's not really much happening right now. Anything. Just wanted to come on here and give you guys a bit of a vlog, you know, let you know what's been going on and stuff, and everything, and, you know, just go from there, if you know what I mean. But, you know, what was I talking about as well? Oh, yeah, the buses. That's what I was talking about before my mom called. You know, one of the things about the buses, like I said, you know, yesterday, and you'll see the video of this, they brought out the big guns in the morning, but unfortunately I had to take the smaller one home. Now, it wasn't initially like the small ones like I'm used to. They're a little bit bigger. Like these newer minivans or minibuses they have are like half the size of, are taller. Like the half the size, both width and height, if you will, of the regular size buses. So that's pretty big. That's pretty big. It's pretty big and everything. So being in that category, if you know what I mean, being in that category, if you know what I mean, it kind of makes things a little bit more roomier, a little bit more nicer. But, anyway, like I was saying, like I was trying to say before I had the interruption there about my mom calling, they're the kind of bus drivers that, they know their routes and everything, and, they're pretty cool with how they drive. They're pretty cool about what they'll be able to do, but you can also tell they're new at what they're doing, because I'm sure they've already know that it's okay to do the courtesy stops or the flag downs or flag ups, if you will. And, and again, like I said, I'm sure they know that that's fine for them to do. Because one guy that I had, I've mentioned before, at first he didn't want to do it because he's like, hey, that's not a regulation bus stop. But then when he got confirmation after talking to his bosses, they were like, oh, sure, that's not a problem. He was like, okay, cool. And the next time I rode with him, he said, hey, Burger King, that's your stop, no problem. But then, like I said, one of the drivers that I've been riding with for the past several years, even when I was working at Walmart, she cleared it up. She said, look, it's going to be up to the discretion of the driver. So even if in other words, even if the driver knows, hey, it's cool that you could do this, I'm not going to, it's cool that they could do this, basically, they're not going to probably do it because maybe they just don't feel like it or something like that, or they feel, hey, it's, maybe they want to follow the rules. Here's what's interesting. Here's what's interesting. I look at the fact that they probably know it's okay, but the reason I don't think they want to do it, especially the ones that are new, is they don't want to risk their jobs. That's it. It's basically like they know it's fine for them to do it and everything. It's okay. But the reason they don't want to do it is mainly to the fact that they probably don't trust the bosses, is what it is. It's like the bosses, to them, maybe it's from experience being elsewhere, being at other jobs, maybe they feel, hey, the bosses could say one thing now, but they'll change their mind and say something else later, and they don't want to chance it. And if that's the case, fine. Just let your passengers know. Let your passengers know, look, I understand what you're saying. And I would do it if I could. Even though I got the okay, I could do it if I could, but I don't trust my bosses. Because they can come out and say, yeah, my bosses say it's okay, but I don't trust the fact that if I do it, they'll come back and change their mind and say I shouldn't have done it. And if that's the case, then just tell us. Or if you're really concerned about it, just talk to your bosses, ask them, hey, are you cool? Is it all right for me to do that? Because if it's not, like I said, they need to let them know. They need to let them know right away, whether yay or nay, that it'll be fine for them to do it, if you know what I mean. But anyway, though, guys, I just wanted to come on here and just do a bit of a vlog, let you know what's been going on. Also kind of now update you on what's going to be happening from that personal family perspective, and just go from there. But let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you like. I know I sound like I rambled a little bit. I was expecting my mom to call, so that's kind of what threw me off a little bit. But again, let me know what your thoughts are overall. Comment down below. Live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Super chats and super stickers are open and would be appreciated in the live chat during the premiere if you could do it. Also check me out at BW Rose's Discussions, all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Also check me out at BW Roses on Patreon.com. To support me at the $1, $3 tier. $1 gets you a shout out, an acknowledgement, and $3 gets you an acknowledgement, shout out, and viewership of content you can't see anywhere else till later. Also check me out at Venmo at Brian-Walmer-2 to help support me financially there. It would be greatly appreciated, whatever you can do. And also check me out at my new Cash App at BW Roses 98. But until next time, guys, let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments and on the live chat during the premiere. Where super chats and super stickers are open, it would be appreciated. And until then, I'm out.